We're down in Plymouth, the home of Princess Yachts, to test the yard's new S65, which was launched at the Southampton Boat Show. This is the second sports bridge model from Princess alongside the S72, and the idea behind this boat is to give you the extra deck level of flybridge but with the looks and performance of a sports cruiser. Let's have a bit of a closer look. Part and parcel of the S65 being a sort of hybrid flybridge sports cruiser means that you get a very sports cruiser sort of layout back here at the transom, where underneath this tender garage there's room for a Williams 325 jack rib, and then as you come up the steps you have access here to an optional single berth crew cabin. It's pretty tight, but it is an option, otherwise you just have storage, and there's a similar storage lazarette on the other side of the sun pad. And then moving up here into the cockpit itself, you have quite a traditional sports cruiser layout really, because you have the seating area and you also have a sun pad, which is a good size, so you're getting best of both worlds. And then what's really nice about the S65 is the way that this whole area merges together, because you have no step between the cockpit and the saloon, and what adds to that is this very smart window that's electrically operated, pops up like that. Really nice mechanism, it locks in place, but it means that then you have the galley becomes also a bar to serve the cockpit. And another nice thing about the S65 is the level of detailing. I mean, take these steps for example. They're not just a way of getting up and down to the flybridge, but they're a feature in themselves. I mean, the way that this railing runs round here, really, really lovely piece of metalwork, nice and substantial, and of course leads up to the flybridge. So let's go and have a look up there. So due to this sports bridge design, the flybridge on this boat is actually only really the size of Princess's 43, but of course that's part and parcel, and that's not to say that it's not very well designed, because I love the way that they've done things like styled the wet bar. It's not just plonked on there, these lovely sculpted edges, two-tone effect on the moulding itself. Of course there's everything here you need: grill, sink, ice maker, fridge, bin, all you need to serve the people who are going to be sitting in this dining area here. And then the forward area is really well laid out too, because you have a twin helm station, very, very comfortable, nice central-ish driving position. You can get lovely and close to the dash, I really like it. But there's a space between the two seats, which means that the navigator can easily walk out without disturbing the skipper. And then this area here to port, of course it serves as a place for people to sit on passage, but it's also designed so that you can use it as another single sunbathing area as well. So unlike the S72, on this boat the galley is up on the main deck, but that hasn't compromised the size of the galley at all really. You still get domestic fridge freezers, there's plenty of storage both at eye level and of course in these lockers down here, and then you have the small sort of breakfast indoor dinette, this whacking great table, again more lovely detailing, the leather underneath and fiddle and cup holders, all really nicely done. Pretty small step up into the main deck. A little handhold here, always good to see, and again it's not just been plonked there, it's sort of nicely styled into the lines of the cabinetry. And this is your main lounging area, which have the low coffee table. This is where the biggest part of the windows are, so there's loads of light, view out's great. It's opposite your TV, which pops electronically out this cabinet here, and you have a bit more storage down here. And then there's another trump card of the sports bridge styling, which is the fact that you also get a sunroof down here. So if it's too cold to be up on the flybridge but you still want a bit of fresh air, you can peel this back, and of course you're open to the elements, and even when it's closed there's glazing, so it's lovely and bright, and that of course means the rest of the accommodation is down the companionway. So there are 4 cabins as standard on the S65. There's a VIP in the bow and 2 guest cabins either side, but the port hand guest cabin you can have as a study if you want to. But the star of the show is this master cabin. It's an absolutely stunning sleeping space, completely flat floor, loads of headroom and really nice detailing, you know, something we've seen throughout this boat, but the detailing really is top notch. And that new knife window design that runs all the way down the accommodation sort of culminates here, either side of this cabin. It's not like the single one-piece panes that we've seen on some of the other Princess Flybridge models, but it looks great, and of course the effect from in here is amazing. The feeling of space is wonderful as well, and something that Princess has managed to do on this boat is get the heads behind the bed head, which is something that they've formerly only been able to do on sort of 70-foot boats, so to have on a 65 is a real treat. And of course that means there's great space in the bathroom itself, but it also means there's an extra layer of insulation between where you're sleeping and the engines. And the practical stuff hasn't been ignored either, because you have 2 vast hanging lockers here, and of course there's bits of storage dropped out all over the cabin as well. But yeah, superb cabin all in all, it really is. There were 3 engine options on the S65. There's a 1150 horsepower from Caterpillar. There's the 1400 horsepower V12 MANs that we've got on this boat. There's also a 1200 horsepower V8 as well. These largest engines really are absolute monsters. There's a serious amount of torque here. I mean, for example, we're doing 1000 RPM now, just over 10 knots, and you floor the throttles and there's just this massive wave of torque that washes in from behind the boat, and then before you can think really, you're up galloping along at, we're over 20 knots already. And with these largest engines, in the speed trials we did earlier on, we got up to just shy of 38 knots, which is pretty impressive performance really for a boat of this size. I mean, this is supposed to be a sporty boat. That's the idea behind the sports bridge range. It's the same as the S72. That's why you've got the big engine options and you do get these top speeds. But what it also means is that we're going along at 30 knots now, and it feels like walking pace. The idea is that you have this huge cruising band where you can cruise from 20 all the way up to 35 knots, and that's great. And the boat is so quiet doing these speeds. As I said, just shy of 30 knots now, and you really wouldn't know. Huge amounts of engine insulation in the engine room, and that really pays dividends when you're going along at high speed like we are now. It's a really classy, classic Princess dashboard. Actually, muted tones, no glare, looks and feels really high quality, nice use of leather, and ergonomically it's sound as well, certainly for the physical driving. Steering wheel and throttle fall nicely to hand, and I can still sit back in the seat and reach everything, which I really like. Considering those are pinch and zoom chart plotters though, they are a bit far away, you know, you're leaning in to use them, although there are repeater controls down here so you don't have to stretch quite so far. But the view is excellent. The navigator can easily leave the helm position without disturbing the helmsman. And of course you have this side door as well, which opens up so that you can easily gain access to the side decks, communicate with crew and ventilate if you don't want to use the sunroof. So that's the new S65, and of course it's a new breed for Princess, but the strongholds of the yard are still there. It's beautifully finished and built. Detailing is absolutely through the roof. Driving it is great, and performance, especially with these MAN 1400s, is absolutely stonking. And it's a 4-cabin family boat, just about the right size to still be owner operated. Really good package as a whole. And of course some people probably will be a bit off put by the size of the flybridge, but then you can always buy the regular 64 if you want that. But what I think is that if you take in the way the decks work, the looks of this boat, then I'd say that sports bridges are probably here to stay.